this was the first time in my life I was introduced by my beautiful wife to the stage, and it's a great pleasure. Thank you so much. And yes, also from my heart to all of you, welcome here back to the TimeWaver world. And it's like a family meeting again, coming together from all over the world. And we are always connected in the information field, but if I say this, we are all connected in the information field, what do I mean by this? And what I want to present to you in this hour, which I have today, here in the morning, is to go deeper into what the information field really is. And I came here to this TimeWaver world to give you 3 gifts. One of them, most of you got already, which is this beautiful poster, which is something really important and fundamental. And I will be speaking about it today in this lecture on the quantum blueprint. Okay, here, the quantum blueprint. The color is blue, of course. The color of the information field is a deep quantum blue. Anyway, that's just, 3 gifts. And these 3 gifts, which I would like to give to you, thank you, in a little selfish way, because I believe that you will be, and you are the right ambassadors to bring these 3 gifts to the world. So therefore, I consider this weekend to be so important. We are planting the seeds for something new. You say, well, why new? TimeWaver is already 19 years old. Yeah, but this is really a time of renewal for TimeWaver. And you will find out later that renewal is one of the 12 fields of life. At the end of this weekend, I want all of you to know by heart the 12 fields of life. That's not difficult. You all know the 12 months of the year. You all know the 12 signs of the zodiac. Most of you probably know the 12 meridians. I don't know if you know the 12 apostles of Jesus. You know, so 12 is an archetypal number. And this is one of the first deep insights which I got in the journey of the past 12 months, from the last TimeWaver world, where most of us met, to this TimeWaver world. These 12 months were the most insightful of my whole life. In these 12 months, I learned more and I discovered more than in the 60 years before. And this is quite a statement, because I was always a learner, I was always a researcher, I always try to discover the deep secrets of life, connecting science and spirituality. And I tell you, my life would have been tragic if not for the insights of the last 12 months. Because I can say the dream of my life, to discover this science which connects the physical to the spiritual and everything in between, became true. And this is the first gift which I want to present to you. Here we are. No. Yes. This is the first gift. It's a new science. And therefore, yesterday I announced this presentation is a bomb, because I'm not saving you from the mathematics. You know, I will show you a little the mathematics, because science in modern terms means mathematics, especially natural science. If you're not able to express it in mathematics, actually you didn't do anything. And this is something 12 months ago, I had a Zoom call with a famous professor from Boston, originally from Hungary, Professor Andreas Sass. And in the introduction, he said, "Oh, Mr. Schmieke, I read your papers on academia. And I'm a scientist. And I didn't see the mathematics. So it's not science, it's philosophy. And I'm not interested in philosophy. I'm only interested in science. Well, that's a little arrogant, but I took it. It somehow deeply hit me. So the next 12 months was a journey towards a precise mathematical description of reality. And not only of physical reality, because this is what science is doing since Galilei, since Newton, describing the forces of nature through mathematics, which actually is the language of God. Galilei said so, Einstein said so. Mathematics is a language of God. Mathematics is something we don't invent as human beings. It's something to be discovered. It's something amazingly beautiful if you understand the language. And it's something prophetic. I give you an example. There was a mathematician in the midst of the 19th century, around 1850. He had a lecture, I think it was in Leipzig. I'm not sure, at the university. His name was Professor Riemann, a mathematician. And I think Gauss was present as a listener, and many famous people. And he was presenting something absolutely mind-blowingly new in mathematics, that space can not only be Euclidean, but it can bend, it can be curved. And everyone tried to imagine how can 5 minutes? Doesn't make sense. I just started. He said I have 5 minutes. No, I don't think so. Something wrong. Okay, good, thank you. I thought there is some relativity of time, and I was moving with the speed of light, so time is passing by slowly. Because what I'm right now about thinking deeply is, anyway, that's off the track, you're kind, So what he was presenting is that space can be curved. And not only space can be curved, but time and space together can be curved. And the listener said, wow, amazing concept. We cannot even imagine space, relatively to what shall it be curved? Doesn't make really sense, but it's a beautiful mathematics. Everyone applauded, and it got forgotten. Because nobody thought, what can we do with it? Space can be curved. Space looks quite straight, And even if it would be curved, you wouldn't recognize, because after all, it's just space. But then, 55 years later, 10 years, 10 is 60 years later, a young physician who didn't get an employment at any university because he was too rebellious. Therefore, he had to work in Switzerland to maintain his young family as a patent officer. You know whom I'm speaking about. Albert Einstein. He discovered this in the books. And he said, oh my God, this is what space is. It's curved. And this curvature of space, nature follows. This curvature of space is gravitation. Who could imagine something like this? And this curvature of space is matter, because gravitation is matter. Matter is energy, and energy is the curvature of space. This was a general theory of general relativity. And, changed everything. So it was discovered in the midst of the 19th century, but nobody could thought, oh, that's just a curiosity. It's an anecdote of mathematics. And later, it was discovered, actually, nature follows mathematics. And it's a great miracle. It's the language of God. So I really love mathematics. Therefore, I will present some of it to you. A new science. And there is a journey towards this new science. And for me, one of the most exciting journeys of my life. So if you want to understand it, and I really recommend it to you, because it's not just theory, it's something by which you can understand, where shall I start? What is more important? You can understand the world, and you can understand life, and you can understand self. So self, life, and world can be understood by one language. And this language, this new science, I call it the quantum blueprint. And I describe this science in an easy language in this book, which I just wrote recently. I started on an early morning in February, beginning of February this year, where I was supposed to go to some big celebration, but I said I stay home today. And I was speaking for 10 hours to my smartphone. And I was telling to my smartphone the journey of the last 6 months, which started somewhere in Tokyo, but you will read about this journey. So I explain the science by explaining how I discovered it, a science of life. But this is only the first part of the book. The second part of the book comes later. It's in German and English. You can get it here. The quantum code of life. So this is the first gift, the new science. But on the basis of this new science, I developed a concept of health based on quantum biology. Because I believe in modern medicine, quantum biology is the most not recognized aspect of our physiology, of our organism, and our organism in terms of body, mind, and soul. So we were always speaking about quantum physics as a connection between the body and the mind. But how? So now we can, through this new science, understand it, and we can understand the anatomy. Anatomy, what is actually the right pronunciation? Anatomy. The anatomy of the quantum body. And this is, for me, it was an amazing discovery. Remember the 12 fields of life? Some of you know it already. You got the poster, the 12 fields of life foundation, which is the cellular metabolism, protection, which is the immune system and the anti-inflammaging system, which is very important because inflammations are, silent, and open inflammations are the basis of most diseases. The third is balance. It's a balance of the different processes in the body, the electrolyte balance, the metabolic balance, the hormonal balance, the balance of the autonomous nervous system, centeredness, and so on. This is the 12 fields of life. So the 12 fields of life are connected to the quantum anatomy, and I will speak about it later. So the second is a new basis of integral health, and I wrote a new book which is only for therapists, medical doctors, or practitioners, or everyone who wants to be one. But it's specifically written for medical doctors and therapists. It's called Integral Coherence Medicine, and it's basically this anatomy describing precisely what is the basis in our body for the quantum vibrations. Because quantum always needs a physical substrate to vibrate on. So what are these physical or biophysical substrates which are quantum vibrating? And I identify 48 levels of molecular substrates in the body, and if you go up in this ladder of 48, you come to the field level of the electromagnetic field, and ultimately the highest, number 48, it's the vacuum, the quantum vacuum itself. So these are 48 different levels, starting with the water inside the cell. The intracellular water is the first quantum substrate. What does it mean? We heard from Giuseppe Vicello, who was here some years ago at TimeWaver World, that water is an electric dipole. So the plus and minus, they're sticking to each other, the molecules. So water is not just, molecules just swirling around, but this is change and patterns of molecules. And inside the cell, the water is very much different from the water in your glass. But if you drink the water in your glass, it turns inside, and at one point it arrives inside your cell. And that time, it connects to the other molecules, and it's kind of a network of molecules. And on this network, if you excite it, one of the molecules, it spreads like a wave, and it's reflected at the cellular membrane. And in this way, standing waves are established on many different frequencies. There's a whole spectrum of frequencies. And these frequencies, in a quantum language, turn into quantum vibrations or even quantum particles. And these particles are called bosons. Photons are bosons. Phonons are bosons. Solitons are bosons. These are quantum particles, and quantum particles are always waves. Wave and particle dualism in quantum physics. So there are 48 substrates, starting with number 1, the intracellular water. Number 2 is the water directly around the cell membrane, which is easy water, according to Gerald Porlack, which is very structured, very pure water. And it's vibrating also, and it's controlling type of the function of the cellular membrane. And then the third level is the water related to the ion flow through the cellular membrane ion channels. And the fourth level of a quantum substrate is the water around the DNA, which is helix type. It's mimicking the geometry of the DNA, it's picking up the information of the DNA, and it's emitting it as electromagnetic waves to communicate with the whole cell. So these are the first four quantum substrates, all related to water, in the first field of life called foundation. That's the basis. And then it gets to the next level, the second field of life. It's called theta 2. I number them theta 1 to theta 12. Theta is a Greek letter. And I use theta because Vicello uses theta as the parameter for order. Because this quantum structure is establishing the order in the organism. Our organism consists of molecules. Everyone knows this. We also accept this. It's molecules. But molecules don't organize themselves. They recognize chemically the next molecule, but the molecule a centimeter away, no idea. So how can they coordinate? Through the quantum vibrations. And what are these quantum vibrations? Bosons. So our body consists of molecules plus bosons. If you only describe the position of the molecules and think you understand the body, no way. It's a bunch of particles which don't organize. They don't vibrate together. They don't create coherence. And life is coherence. Therefore, I call this new medicine integral coherence medicine. This is the name of the new book. We have it in German here, so those of you who read the sweet German language can get it, but the English one is published next week, and you get it on Amazon KDP all over the world, so that's really practical. You have to get it. Molecules and bosons. That's all we need. So these bosons vibrate on quantum substrates. These quantum substrates are molecules up to life field 8 and 9. And then life field 10 is called clarity. It's our cognitive faculty. And this already is based, of course, on the neural network in the neocortex. But here, electromagnetic fields become very prominent. So already on this level of theta 10, clarity, there is a shift from molecules to fields. And this goes up to the highest field, theta 12, which is called unity, which integrates all the functions of our organism. So theta 12.1, it's called not theta 12.1, it's called theta 12a. So each field of life has 4 directions or 4 dimensions. And I call them the subfields. And we number them A, B, C, D. So you don't have to learn 48 subfields. This is too much for everyone. Just 12 fields of life, theta 1 to theta 12. Foundation, protection, balance, centeredness, flow, vitality, renewal. Renewal is my favorite field. It's a field number 7. And this is what I was saying, that TimeWaver is in this process of renewal, because I am myself in this process of renewal. I go to the gym every day for 3 hours. I don't look like, but I don't spend this 3 hours in the gym training. I do 1 hour. And not really power training, muscle training, but mainly endurance, like cross trainer. And then I push a few devices, but just for fun. But I enjoy this 1 hour. And afterwards, I go to the sauna and I swim in the lake. Every day, any temperature. 2 degrees, frozen lake. Oh, now it's really pleasant. I can swim out and swim around the corner, visit Babak. He's living there at the same lake. So 3 hours. And I enjoy this 3 hours so much, because it's 3 hours just for myself. And it's the most creative time. And I work. I work all the time. I cannot stop. But that's the right environment to do it. So it's a time of renewal, and here is a new science. This is the basis of a new medicine, which we will also apply fully in TimeWaver. So with this gift comes along, and you have probably seen it, and I think it's something really beautiful and significant. It's a poster which you can put in your clinic, in your practice, in your office, and on one glance, you have the whole quantum biophysical anatomy of the human organism. And it describes all the 12 fields of life, from foundation to unity, and all the subfields A, B, C, D. And this A, B, C, D has a logic. So you don't have to learn 48, just understand the 12 and A, B, C, D. What is A, B, C, D? A means stability. B means flexibility. C means exploration of something new. And D means integration. So each field, theta 1 to theta 12, has these 4 dimensions, these 4 directions to move. You may ask me where to move. In the landscape of coherence. That's significant. I don't know if you ever heard this combination of words. The landscape of coherence. We, as a living organism, move in a landscape of coherence, going up the mountains, being on the top in an unstable position, looking down, moving to the valley. But we cannot stand in the valley because we are too restless. We are always moving. There is a force which pulls us to the valleys. But there is another force which moves us around like the wind. And we can never stop moving because there is an ongoing circulation which moves us in these areas on the same altitude. So these are the three forces which move us in the landscape of coherence. The first is called the drift. The drift is a force which moves us down to the valleys. It's gravity. Gravity is a drift. But we resist it. If I wouldn't resist gravity, I would be falling on the floor. So I'm constantly resisting gravity. Hello? No, okay, thank you. The second force is called diffusion. Diffusion is a force which is the antagonist to drift, because drift is creating order, and diffusion is the guarantee that not everything concentrates at the same place. Diffusion is like the wind which carries the leaf around. And there's a certain force which is underneath these two antagonist forces, which is called circulation, which makes us alive and which keeps us alive. And circulation never ceases. Circulation never stops. On the deepest level, this axiom that circulation never stops, which actually says that time never stands still, is turning into the Heisenberg uncertainty principle. But this comes later. So you can take this poster home, and at least for the first week where you don't know the 48 fields by heart yet, you can from time to time look at it, but otherwise later, you know, if you start working with them, you can understand each condition as a combination of disturbance of coherence in these fields. So the main part of the new book, it's around 200 pages inside this book. Book has 400 pages. 200 pages describe each of the 48 fields systematically. What is the biological meaning? What is the quantum substrate? What is the symmetry which is broken in this quantum substrate? What is the psychological meaning? What is the energetic connection to the meridians? What is the biochemical solution if there is a problem? So it goes systematically for all the 48 fields through these different aspects of the subfields. That's the central part. And then there's a third gift, which I brought with me, and some of you will enjoy it, because tomorrow morning at 7:45, where some of you still intended to sleep, but this is a wake-up call, I will invite you into a practice which is based on this new science. And this is a practice of meditation. And this meditation is embedded into a life practice. And I designed this life practice according to the understanding of the three forces, and according to the understanding of how we are moving in this landscape of coherence. The valleys are the attractors in this landscape. They always attract us. And some of these attractors are on our lifeline, and some are driving us away from the lifeline. This lifeline I call, English, someone has to help me out, Geodete in German. What is the English word? It's geodetic movement. Yeah? The geodetic movement is the shortest connection of 2 points. There must be an English name for it. Chris? Geodetic. Okay, yeah, geodetic. It's the same. Geodetic movement. I just look for the noun. Ask AI. Doesn't matter. So, understanding this landscape of coherence, and yeah, this landscape of coherence, where is it? A scientist will even immediately ask, where does it live? It's in the vacuum. It's an ordered structure within the quantum vacuum. And the quantum vacuum is not empty space, but the quantum vacuum is a ground state. And everything else is excitations of this ground state. And the vacuum of biological organisms is coherent organization. Health is a coherent state. It's an attractor in this landscape. But due to diffusion and due to drift, we are also attracted to other attractors or valleys, which could be diseases, which could be as stable as an attractor as health. But circulation in a healthy organism is so strong that it never keeps us in one attractor. We are constantly moving from one attractor to the other. An attractor, for example, a valley, is deep sleep. We are touching it every day, hopefully for a few hours, because we need this. But circulation is moving on, going to the REM phase of sleep, to the dreaming state, waking up, and going through all the different attractors of activity, of relaxation, of digestion, of meditation, every day, of exercise. You can identify the attractors of your life, and you can understand the circulation which moves you around. These are the 3 gifts. Today, I want to speak about the new science. Sunday morning at 9 o'clock, I will speak about the integral coherence medicine. And earlier Sunday morning, we have 45 minutes for a practice. And to practice together is always stronger even than practicing for oneself. And if you like, I will give you, those who are interested, I will send you a document so that you can continue this practice at home if you like. The new science. Here we are. The equation. I call it the mother equation because it's the mother of all equations. And look how simple and look how beautiful it is. It's mainly Greek letters. And the most important, it's Latin letters also, but here, this is the main letter, it's Rho. And this is the currency of this equation. The currency of this equation is not actuality, but it is possibility. This equation doesn't live on a space of physical reality, but this equation lives on a space of possibility. Imagine a space of all possible configurations of the physical, the mental, and the spiritual. This is a space on which this equation operates. And I have a very precise definition of this space. Because this space is self-generating. It generates itself by one operation. And this operation is the only thing which cannot not exist. Think about it. It's almost like a Zen koan. What is the only thing which is actually not a thing, but it's the only thing which is not a thing which cannot not exist? Now, I thought about it a long time, and I came to a conclusion. The only thing which cannot not exist is the distinction. Because try to say this sentence, the distinction does not exist. Doesn't make sense because you just made a distinction. You made a distinction to state that the distinction cannot exist. Doesn't work. So if the distinction cannot not exist, you have to start with the distinction. And the distinction, you all have a piece of empty paper in front of you. Take a piece of empty paper and take a pen. Empty, it has to be empty. That's all we have. And now draw a line over the whole paper. What did you do? You made a distinction. Now suddenly you have something down and something up. Or you have something left and something right. Or you have something inside and something outside. If you made a circle, you could have made a circle. Now you apply the same distinction to what you just created. In one of these fields, draw another line. And in the other field also. So now you have 4 parts already. And you can continue. This is a self-application of the distinction to itself. And it's creating newer and newer distinctions and possibilities. Sometimes the distinction is not sharp. Or sometimes you can't decide fully on which side you are, left or right. Sometimes it's undecided, so it's a half. And in this way, this space generates itself, and it turns into infinity. And this infinity creates infinite dimensional possibility space. Because each of the paths is one configuration, one possibility of a reality. This is a space. And now there's something most important happening. The most important point of the whole theory is that there's not only a value of the distinction. Value is, am I on the left or on the right side or somewhere in between 0 or 1. But there is a second quality of distinction, because 2 distinctions can be in a relationship to each other. They can be related to each other, so that you cannot decide one without the other. This is called the relation, which is also a distinction. It can be on or it can be off. You can be in a relationship or you can be not in a relationship with some other person. Or one distinction, let's say distinction number 7, might be that the chair is blue or not. Is this chair blue? Yes, so yes. But distinction was, number 1 was, is there a chair or not? So these 2 distinctions are not independent from each other. There could be the first distinction, is there a table or not? Yes. Distinction number 8, is the chair blue or not? It's blue. So these two distinctions are not in a relationship with each other. So the relation is off. In the other case, it was on. So that's all. And this relation creates potentially a tension. If some people are in a relationship, there can be a tension. If they're not in a relationship, no tension. How easy would be the world if there would be no relations? No tensions, but also no life. So the tension is a consequence of the relation, which is a distinction. It's just another distinction. And there's a third distinction level, and that's all. And this is a distinction on the distinction itself. So if you don't apply the distinction to the left or the right side, but to the line itself, you draw the line in the middle of the line. This is called re-entry, but it's not important for now. That's all. So, but the tension and this tension, they add up. In each of the points of this unlimited, infinite dimensional possibility space, each point has a certain amount of tension. And this tension is phi, or probably phi in English, isn't it? Phi. This tension is phi. Rho is the probability density. And then we have three letters, D, O, and omega. Two letters. And here's a symbol. This is a gradient. It's the first differentiation. So we have three terms, only three terms, which describe the dynamics of the world, of life, and of self. The first is called diffusion. The second is called drift or tension. And the third, my favorite, omega, is a circulation. And life is an equilibrium, and our mind is an equilibrium of these three forces. Diffusion is the openness which preserves all possibilities. Because the drift by the gradient of the tension phi would pull everything towards the consistent configurations. Because this will pull the dynamics towards the minima of 5, which are the valleys. So we would all collect in the same places. Fortunately, life doesn't allow it. It's not just order, it's movement and chaos. So here we have chaos, here we have order, and here we have the underlying movement, which is the healthy state. By calculating omega, and today I'm allowed to talk about it. Yesterday, I would not have been allowed to talk about it by my lawyer. Because my lawyer, I'm talking about my patent lawyer, he filed yesterday at 6 o'clock in the evening, on a Friday evening, he filed my patent on using this formula to describe the state of health through the measurement of coherence, and on the basis of this measurement of any physiological parameters of our organism, predict adverse health events, predict negative developments. Because if you can measure omega and you see that omega is stronger than the drift, we are in a healthy, coherent state. If drift takes over and omega gets weaker, the device, which I patented yesterday, is creating a warning signal. You should take care of yourself. You might have to do a checkup. You might have to take a rest and unstress yourself. You might have to take a rest and do some meditation. This part of the second, the health application. So this formula can be used to analyze any type of data. Believe me or not, last week I issued a stock exchange traded ETI on the stock exchange in Stuttgart, which chooses to invest or not invest according to this formula. It can be used to describe financial data. We applied it, the same formula we applied on seismic activity data. And we can predict earthquakes. Even better, we proved it on historical data than the stations in Japan, which couldn't predict the last big earthquake. We would have predicted it with this formula. Because the drift, oops, same formula. Come on. Which direction? Towards the laptop. No. Here we are. Here we are back with the equation. The equation. We applied it on 12 different kind of data streams. For example, also geomagnetic activity. So we can predict solar storms, which is important for the safety of satellites and so on. So this formula is very universal. It's for health, but it's also for understanding the inner world. And therefore, in the meditation practice, which I want to take you along with tomorrow, we are trying to, we are actually solving the drift, we are identifying the drifts, we are going deeper to align with the circulation. And the circulation in our system is represented, for example, through breathing. Breathing is a sign that we are circulating. There is a deeper underlying circulation, which is our heartbeat. But our whole system circulates. Yeah, this is actually the same mother equation, just in its dynamical shape. And from this one equation, quantum physics can be derived. Because the dynamics of phi turns into the Schrödinger equation, which is the mother equation of quantum mechanics. But Schrödinger equation is just one regime of this equation. If the drift dominates, this is the reduction of the wave function. When I discovered this on an early morning in February in Slovakia at a holiday with my family, I got so excited that I was running towards the window to open the curtain, and I can show you the scarf I still have at my leg. I think it will stay until the rest of my life to remember me to this moment. You know, that these two contradicting aspects of quantum physics, which I was thinking about for 44 years, since I'm 16, and I read the book Foundations of Physics from Carl Friedrich von Weizsäcker. And Einstein and Bohr were fighting about the interpretation. Everyone now knows that quantum objects evolve according to Schrödinger equation, as long as nobody looks. But as soon as you look, as soon as you do a measurement, this doesn't count anymore, and the whole thing collapses into one of the states, and you can't predict into which. It's pure chance. So these two sides of quantum physics just don't fit to each other. They don't match. Therefore, Einstein said, if this quantum jumping and collapsing doesn't stop, I regret that I ever started to study physics. I should have become a cobbler. he said. My grandfather was a cobbler. Schuster. So how do they? No idea. The mother equation dynamics derives the Schrödinger equation as a circulation-dominated regime, and as soon as the drift takes over, the system collapses towards one of these attractors. It chooses one valley. I call them pointer states. It chooses the pointer states which at the moment of the measurement, the circulation is passing by. Imagine the circulation always passing by all the pointer states, and now you do a measurement at this moment. Here is this attractor, so it collapses into this valley. And the drift drives the ball down to the valley. That's the picture. So Einstein was right when he told to Niels Bohr, 1935 in Copenhagen, God doesn't play dice, Mr. Bohr. And Bohr said, Mr. Einstein, don't tell God what to do and what not to do. This is a famous anecdote between Einstein and Bohr. Not resolved until today, or I want to say solved today. On this morning in Slovakia, in the high Tatras, because now you can understand the dynamics. And you can understand, Einstein was right when he said God doesn't play dice, because he doesn't play dice, he plays roulette. That's a different game. And there is a parameter called epsilon, another beautiful Greek letter, which is the gradient of phi, which is a drift, divided by omega, which is a circulation. And if epsilon is small, close to zero, Schrödinger. And if epsilon is going far beyond 1, this is a collapse of the wave function. And now that's interesting. I'm not only reproducing and solving the contradiction between these two regimes, but now there is something very fascinating in between, because from epsilon very small to epsilon very big, epsilon has to pass through 1. So the regime of epsilon close to, I don't believe you anymore. Epsilon around 1, there is new physics to be discovered. And from this I make 28 predictions of experiments which you can do to discover this new physics around epsilon equal 1. For example, I give you an example. If you build a quantum computer, you have qubits. So they try to increase the number of qubits. So with increasing number of qubits, the time of decoherence, when the system falls apart, is increasing linearly, according to standard physics. According to this, because of the limitation of the diffusion, it's only growing up to 200 qubits, and then it's flattening like a straight line. So that's a prediction of this theory. We are not there yet to have 200 qubit systems, but when we get there, we can see if this is right or if standard physics is right. So like this, from the same phi, but not from the gradient, but from the Hessian, which is a second deviation, through the Gauss-Kodazzi transformation, the Einstein equation can be derived. So the dynamics of phi is quantum mechanics. The geometry of phi is general relativity. This unites the two contradictory theories which we have since Einstein and Planck. So it dissolves the contradiction of these two, because they are children of the same phi. The second deviation of phi creates Einstein, and the first deviation of phi creates Schrödinger. My newspaper is therefore called Schrödinger and Einstein combined, and I submitted it to Foundations of Physics last week. Let's see if they want to print it. So I don't have really time to get deeper into this. From the same formula, relativistic quantum field theory, the standard model of the Gauss structure, of the elementary particle structure, the four-dimensionality of space-time, cosmology, and consciousness can be derived, but that's a whole other topic. And now, as my time is 5 minutes only, no problem with this. We will see us again this weekend. So that's really absolutely fascinating, getting us a deeper insight into the structure of the information field. And this is something I really want to still tell you in this morning. There are 3 levels of the information field. The first level, it's a classical information field with which we are working with TimeWaver since almost 20 years now. Next year, 20th anniversary, this will be a big celebration. So the classical information field, it's the conjugate information space. The conjugate information space, or how Vicello calls it, the tilde space, is the space, the informational space, which is created by dissipation. Dissipation means we are an open system which in each moment exchanges energy and information with its environment. In each moment we are radiating biophotons, and they leave us and they never come back. So this means the information which they carry is lost forever. But it's not really lost forever, it's book-kept in the conjugate information space. So this conjugate information space, as Vicello says, is given by physics. It's not assumed by esoterics, but it's given by physics. Without this conjugate information space, there is no physics of dissipative structures. And we are a dissipative structures. We are not a closed system like Schrödinger equation describes, but we are what we are because we are an open system. We exchange energy, information, and substance every time we eat, every time we breathe, every time we radiate. So that's, I know, that's the basis of the information field. This is the information, the classical information field. And we contact it through the quantum noise processes within our TimeWaver. That's the way. And we will continue to do this. That's always giving us a second opinion. Don't confuse it to be medical diagnosis. But if you have a medical diagnosis, you do your anamnesis and diagnosis and everything, you did your blood scan, and then you get an information field result from TimeWaver Pro. You see things which you don't see through your physical eyes, because you look into the bookkeeping of the information exchange of the organism with its environment. And that's important. It can't replace medical diagnosis, but it can complement it on a more subtle level. This is information field number 1. It reads the quantum noise. Information field number 2 is the coherence landscape itself, with its 48 dimensions. Burkhardt-Heim packs this all in 1 dimension. It's a 5th dimension. But with 1 dimension, the complexity of organisms can't be described. So I describe it in 48 dimensions. It's all packed within 1. We read it through the 48 subfields, and the methods is the frequency programs. The frequency programs shape the landscape of the quantum vacuum because they are interacting with the Goldstone bosons. And I discovered the resonance frequencies of the 48 Goldstone bosons on the 48 quantum substrates. And now it is on the new TimeWaver Home. The new TimeWaver Home, which has a beautiful golden sticker, has all the 48 Goldstone boson resonance frequencies inside. You can get it on your old TimeWaver Home. If you give it to our people, they can do it. Or you can buy a new one. And you can also get it on your TimeWaver frequency. But they can't be imported to Healy's, for example, because Healy can't match this frequency patterns which we have there. It's a different logic. So this is the second field, the coherence landscape. But now there is a third level of the information field, which I call the source, or the source space, which is a little more beautiful word for the pre-coherent, infinite-dimensional possibility space. So let's call it the source. So this deep space is the source of the projection. And this is, I'm ending now, your body, your consciousness, and your self-identity are three different projections of the same source space. And the projector is the mother equation. And this is the reason why your mind doesn't create your physical reality, as some esoteric people want to tell us. And we try to live, it doesn't work. But your mind, your consciousness, and your body are two projections from the same source. So if you want to work on this level, you have to go to the source. And the coherence practice, which I want to do tomorrow morning with you, kind of a meditation, but it is more than a meditation, is working on the third level of the information field, which is the source space. And now I have to obey my wife. So thank you very, very much, and see you later again. Thank you.